Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The last little video on section 1 of chapter 5. We're going to fill in the rest of this foldable, and now instead of graphing, which we just did, we did graphing here, graphing here, graphing here. We're going to be able to take any of these forms, whether it's in vertex form, whether it's in intercepts form, whether it's in, doesn't make sense, standard form, but we're going to be able to take anything that we're given and do already what you are familiar with from Algebra 1 with your order of operations, and we're going to be able to write the equation, not graph, write the equation in standard form, where it looks like this. We have ax squared, and then plus bx, and then plus c, where a, b, and c are any type of real numbers. So let's do it. Then we're going to do some examples. There aren't really any steps here. I mean, I might put a couple steps in there, but it really is just kind of basic order of operations. But I just want to throw out a couple examples, and we'll go from there. So let's rock and roll. Let's do it. All right, guys, here we go. Some examples, and again, the goal is this. We're going to be taking anything that we're given here, no matter what it is, any of these four, yucky, 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 and we're going to be rewriting them into this thing called standard form. So we're going to take a little stroll back, if you will, Algebra 1 lane, and I'm going to put four little letters on the screen here for you. F, O, I, and L, standing for FOIL. That's right. Over here, all you really have to do is double distribute. Some teachers call it FOIL, and I'm okay with whatever you want to talk about, but the F stands for the first. So we take first times first, so the first times first right here is going to give me y equals x squared, and then I'll just change colors. So then the blue, the outsiders, goes like this. The outside means the very, very outside ones. So we take those times each other. So that's x times negative 5 gives me negative 5x. And then I'll take the inside ones. I'll use pink. So the inside ones are the ones in the middle right here. Positive 3 times x is positive 3x. Beautiful. And then the last one, I'll take the, I don't know, orange. So orange will be yellow, or orange will be yellow. Orange will be the last, standing for L. So first, outers, inners, last. So last times last gives me 3 times negative 5, which gives me negative 15. So all you're doing is double distributing. You're taking the x times x and x times negative 5, and then 3 times x and 3 times negative 5. Wonderful. And then as soon as we do that, we're not done, because that's not in this form right here. You just then have to simply take your like terms, these guys right here, and combine them. So my final answer would be y equals x squared, and then negative 5x plus 3x gives me negative 2x. And then this right here is just itself, is the constant, and that right there is your answer. So that is written in standard form, where a is a 1, b is a negative 2, and c is a negative 15. That's writing it in standard form. It really is that simple. Now, over here, we're going to have to use our order of operations. And here's what I'd recommend doing first. I mean, if you want steps, the first thing I would do is I would FOIL. I would just focus on this right here. I'll circle it, or at least I'll box it. I would just focus on this right here. So just focus on that and do exactly like we did over here. So FOIL it. So take first times first, and I'll do that again. So we take first times first. That gives me x squared. I then take outers. I'll do it this way this time. I'll take the x and I'll distribute way over here to that negative 2. So that gives me negative 2x when I distribute, meaning multiply. And then I'll use pink. So I'll go back to that. So I'm going to take this one now. Insides times this guy right there. That's not pink. Not even close, actually. So pink goes to this one. There we go. So that gives me a positive 1x. You don't need to write the 1, but I'm going to write it there just so you see it. And then the last one, I'm going to take last, so I'll distribute this thing over here, which gives me negative 2. Again, all I'm doing is first, outers, inners, last. And then I'll combine my like terms. But don't wait. Actually, stop a second. All this stuff in the box right here, it is still encompassed and grouped together, and there's still that negative 4 that's outside of it. We can't forget about that. So I want you to focus, though, first of all, on exactly what's going on here with the FOIL method. And now we can combine our like terms. So in parentheses, I have parentheses, x squared. This negative 2x plus x gives me negative x. And then this negative 2 just stays negative 2. All that's still in parentheses, and I still have that pesky little negative 4 out there. And now what I can do is take and distribute that goofy little negative 4 through all of these. I can distribute it because it's a number. that's outside of parentheses, and it's being distributed over subtraction, or it could be addition, depends on the actual problem. So then finally I would finish this by saying negative 4x squared is what gives me that when I multiply it. Negative 4 distributed here to negative x gives me positive 4x. And then negative 4 times negative 2 gives me positive 8. So this whole thing, y equals, there you go. That's in standard form. Beautiful. So the first thing we did there was FOIL, check. And then after we folded and combined it like terms and got it down to a trinomial, then we took the negative 4 and distributed it through. Over here, you didn't have anything out there, so you just could FOIL. Beautiful. Okay, so that's those. Now let's keep on going. These guys are a little different because now you have a squared. Now you have a squared. And remember, this is the best way I could tell you. When you're talking about taking something and squaring it, so say for example, if I have like negative 2 and I'm squaring that thing, that means the squared means I take the base times itself twice. So I do negative 2 times negative 2. If this up here said to the third power, then you would do negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. The exponent, remember, means how many times I take the base times itself. That being said, this is the scoop. If I'm going to take negative 2 times itself twice, because that's what's in parentheses, then by golly over here, that's exactly what I'm going to do over here. So if I was you, step number 1 would be anytime you have something that's squared, expand it. That means rewrite it. So I'm going to take this entire thing and I'm going to say, okay, if I'm squaring this entire base, then I'm going to go x minus 3 times x minus 3. I'm going to take that thing that's squared and do x minus 3 times x minus 3, just like I did negative 2 times negative 2. And why would you do that, Mater? Because now you're looking at the same exact thing that we just did up here. If I scroll up, right here. We're looking at just a binomial times a binomial. And yes, that's right, you just FOIL it. That's it. So now once I expand this squared thing, x minus 3, now I go into FOIL method. I go double distribute, baby. So I go x times x, which gives me x squared. And then I do x times negative 3, which gives me negative 3x. And then I do negative 3 times x, which gives me negative 3x. And then I finally finish up by going negative 3 times negative 3, which gives me positive 9. And then I combine my like terms. It really is that simple. You just got to make sure you use your order of operations. And that is first, adders, inners, last. But before you do all that, make sure if something's squared, you got to rewrite it out. Expand it out. So that means my final answer will y equals x squared. Combine these like terms, that gives me negative 6x. When I take negative 3x minus 3x, gives me that. And then plus 9. So beautiful. So that right there, guys, is in standard form. Now my suggestion will be to pause this video and do this one on your own and see what you get. So pause it, give it a whirl. Keep in mind this squared right here, I'd expand this thing right here. X plus 4 is what's being squared. So don't write this. Don't write 2x plus 4 and then 2x plus 4. The whole thing 2x plus 4 is not what's being squared. The only thing that's being squared again is just the x plus 4. So expand that. So pause the video, see what you get. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna do it. You see if you got it. So I'm gonna put a 2 down there. I'll deal with that later because I didn't do any FOIL yet. Let's take this squared and apply it to this binomial. So that means I'm gonna expand it out. X plus 4 and x plus 4. And then I still have this pesky little minus 5 out there. So like I said before, what I would do is now just strictly focus on FOIL. Keep everything else there, of course, the 2 and the negative 5, but just focus on the FOIL. Focus on the distribution, double distribution, or the multiplying of these binomials. Let's do it. So, wait, I don't wear red. Let's do blue. So I do first times first, gives me x squared. I do. First times last, actually it's last times the outers, outers. So that gives me 4x. I'll use green. So the inners gives me that. And then I will do purple. So 4 times 4 gives me a positive 16. So all of this, again, is still everything that's in the box. All of that. I still have this goofy little thing here. I still got the 2 in front of all this stuff. And I still got this negative 5 trailing. So let's clean this up in the parentheses. Let's do what's in parentheses first. Order of operations. So I do the like terms. So 4x plus 4x gives me 8x. And then 16 stays 16. So now everything in parentheses is done. Now I can actually do my exponents. No, I can't. There's nothing here to do. Great. Then I can distribute, because now I'm to the multiplication division stuff. Let's do it. So multiplication division means I take this 2 there, I distribute it, so I get 2x squared. I distribute the 2 here to the stuff in parentheses. Gives me 16x, and I distribute it the whole way over here, which gives me 32. So all of that, beautiful, is what happened after I distribute it. I still have this goofy little minus 5 out here. What do I do with it? No, you don't distribute it. You just simply take the like terms, because really, here's what's going to happen. Let me erase this. Really, these parentheses disappear, and now all I have left is exactly this. So just combine your like terms. And those like terms happen to be this and this. My final answer will be 2x squared plus 16x plus 32 minus 5, which is 27. And that rate there, whoops, don't forget your y equals. That right there, woo, is your final answer. Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? I knew you would. So there you go. Let's practice these bad boys. Hope you got all 4 of these in your notes. I'm sure you do. And we'll practice these in class. Later.